If you feel like the weather is getting more extreme, more violent, and just more unpredictable, you're not imagining it. You're seeing the headlines, you've felt that oppressive heat, and you've watched the storms roll in. That hazy, apocalyptic orange sky from wildfire smoke hundreds of miles away. The tornado sirens that seem to wail in places they never used to. The flash floods that turn city streets into raging rivers in the blink of an eye. This isn't just another news cycle, and it's definitely not random. America's weather is changing in dangerous ways for reasons that are all connected. It's a chain reaction, a kind of planetary fever that starts deep in our oceans and reaches high into our atmosphere. And the science is telling us one thing with chilling certainty: it's about to get a lot worse. But this isn't just a story about doom and gloom, it's about understanding. So let's break down exactly how the warming of our oceans is creating these superstorms and megafires now on our doorstep, and what that really means for all of us. To get what's happening in our skies, you first have to look to the sea. The world's oceans are the planet's great engine. They regulate our temperature and drive our weather. And for the last century, they've been quietly absorbing a massive amount of stress from our world. Think of the ocean as a giant battery. For decades, it's absorbed over 90% of the excess heat trapped by greenhouse gases. But that battery is getting full, and now it's starting to unleash the stored energy in terrifying ways. At their core, hurricanes are giant heat engines that pull their power from warm ocean water. As global temperatures rise, so do sea surface temperatures. That's more fuel for storms, letting them grow stronger, wetter, and more dangerous than they were just a few decades ago. NOAA is now forecasting an increase in Category 4 and 5 hurricanes, the most powerful storms on the planet. We've not just seen more intense storms, we're seeing them intensify faster. This is called rapid intensification, and it's becoming way more common, giving communities much less time to prepare. A storm can literally explode in strength in just 24 hours, going from manageable to catastrophic. But the ocean isn't acting alone. It's loading the dice in the atmosphere. For every degree Celsius of warming, the air can hold about 7% more moisture. This creates the perfect setup for biblical deluges. It's why we saw that event in South Texas back in March, where some areas got 6 months worth of rain in just 3 days, leading to terrible flooding and hundreds of water rescues. It's why 13 states across the Northeast and Midwest had one of their 5 wettest Mays on record this year. The air is supersaturated, just waiting for a storm system to come along and wring it out like a sponge. So you have superfueled storms and historic rainfall. But how does the exact same system create an explosion of fire? It's a paradox of our changing climate called weather whiplash. The same forces causing intense rain are also messing with precipitation patterns, making wet places wetter and dry places drier. While one part of the country is underwater, another is bone dry and baking in the sun. This brings us to the American West, which has been in the grip of a mega-drought for 2 decades, now considered the worst in at least 1,200 years. Hotter temperatures bake the moisture out of the soil and plants, creating a landscape that's just primed to burn. This has basically doubled the area burned by wildfires in recent decades. It's not just one dry summer, it's a chronic, relentless drying out that set the stage for the megafires we saw in early 2025. In January, Southern California wildfires killed more than 30 people and destroyed over 17,000 homes and buildings. Just 2 months later, fires fueled by hurricane force winds scorched huge areas across Texas and Oklahoma. This is the terrifying synergy of a warming world. An atmosphere that can deliver both historic floods and historic fires, sometimes one right after the other. This isn't some abstract science experiment. This is the new dangerous reality for millions of Americans. The data paints a stark picture. 9 of the 10 warmest years ever recorded have all happened since 1998, and the rate of warming has more than tripled since the 1970s. This relentless heat is the foundation for all these new disasters. So what does this actually look like on the ground? Out west, communities now live with a constant year-round threat of wildfire. The whole idea of a wildfire season is pretty much obsolete. As we saw in California this past January, devastating fires aren't just a summer or fall problem anymore. The mega-drought is so persistent that even years with decent rain barely make a dent. The landscape is just too dry, too hot, and too ready to go up in flames. Meanwhile, the central and southern U.S. are dealing with a new era of severe storms. Tornado Alley seems to be shifting and expanding eastward into more populated parts of the Midwest and Deep South. In March of 2025, a massive severe weather outbreak unleashed over 100 tornadoes, including 2 terrifying nighttime EF4 twisters in Arkansas, with winds hitting 190 miles per hour. This past June, a powerful EF3 tornado ripped through St. Louis, killing 5 people, including 3 children. These storms are getting more frequent and powerful, and the systems creating them are also driving record floods. In June, San Antonio got a month's worth of rain in 24 hours, leading to flash floods that claimed 13 lives. On the East Coast, communities face a triple threat. Hurricanes are getting stronger, slower, and wetter. A slower storm is bad news. It means it sits over one area for longer, dumping catastrophic rain and battering the coast. At the same time, global sea level rise from melting ice and expanding warm ocean water makes every single coastal storm more damaging. It gives the storm surge a higher starting point, letting it push further inland. We saw this on full display during the June 2025 heat wave that baked the eastern seaboard. A stagnant heat dome just sat over the region, sending the heat index soaring past 110 degrees Fahrenheit in major cities like New York, Boston, and Baltimore, and putting over 125 million people under excessive heat warnings. These aren't distant future threats. This is what happened in 2025. Facing this kind of supercharged weather, it's easy to feel anxious and powerless. A recent poll showed that 58% of Americans expect these events to get even more frequent. But the same science that explains the problem so clearly also points us toward the solutions. We aren't just victims of the weather. We're participants in the systems that shape it, and we have the power to change course. This isn't about just bracing for impact. It's about rewriting the forecast. And that starts with innovation. We're already seeing incredible advances in forecasting. AI-powered models are helping us predict hurricane paths and severe storm outbreaks with better accuracy and more lead time than ever before, which saves lives. But to really fix the problem, we have to go to the source. Burning fossil fuels is what's loading our atmosphere with heat-trapping gases. So, the most important solution is a fast transition to clean, renewable energy like solar and wind. That's how we begin to turn down the planet's thermostat and calm down the violent weather it's creating. At the same time, we have to build a more resilient nation. That means investing in infrastructure that can actually handle this new reality. Stronger seawalls for coastal cities, modern electrical grids that don't fail during storms, and heat waves, and smarter water systems to handle the extremes of drought and flood. It means designing communities in the West to be more fire-resistant and creating more green spaces in our cities to absorb floodwaters and cool down extreme heat. These are huge tasks, but they're not impossible. The future of America's weather isn't set in stone. It's being written by the choices we make right now, as individuals, as communities, and as a country. If you want to be part of the solution, a great part to start is to get informed and stay engaged. We've put links to credible sources like NOAA and NASA in the description below, where you can see the data for yourself and track what's happening with our planet. Think about supporting organizations on the front lines of climate solutions, whether they're pushing for clean energy policies or helping communities build resilience. And maybe, most importantly, share this video. Help other people understand the why behind our wild weather, because understanding the problem is the first real step toward changing what happens next. The evidence is all around us. The chain reaction has begun. Warmer oceans are fueling stronger storms. A hotter atmosphere is unleashing both historic floods and historic fires. The weather that used to feel predictable is now dangerously volatile. The storms are getting stronger. The fires are getting bigger. The heat is getting more extreme. But our capacity for innovation, our ability to adapt, and our will to protect our homes and each other is stronger still. The question is no longer if we need to act, but how fast. The forecast is calling for change, and it's up to us to answer.